2 feet and 1 head, which Helgelien recognized to be those of
what
his
the
brother.
heck?
Immediate inspection of the
What's up, ASA gang? Gabriel Mendes here, back again with another video, and today I'm going to be watching a video from a channel called Dark Realm Tales. Now, if you guys don't know what that is, it's basically a YouTube channel that creates horror and unsettling stories for you guys to enjoy. And if you guys haven't yet, please go and subscribe to their channel because it's really great. The link for their YouTube channel will be down below in the description, so you guys could go check them out if you guys want to. But before we get this started, don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to follow me on Snapchat and TikTok. And don't forget to turn on post notifications on so you guys will know when I upload another video. And now, with all that being said, let's get this started. Subscribe. By the way, if you guys haven't yet, please subscribe. Linda Calvi.
Born on April 8, 1948. Calvi began her criminal career as a lookout after being invited by her cousin to a party for armed robber, Mickey Calvi, who at the time was on temporary home leave towards the end of his 8-year prison term.
Okay.
She fell in love with him and she married him at 22 years old, with him having to be brought to the wedding from his prison by armed guard.
Wow.
She later became a getaway driver and eventually wielded guns herself during robberies.
What the heck?
She went on to make £1 million in robberies, saying in 2002, "I love the buzz of picking up a shotgun, confronting men in armored vans and forcing them to hand over vast sums of money." She later said she always thought that the money was rightfully hers. She was known to keep guns under her doormat. Her first conviction in 1986 resulted in her being sentenced to 7 years imprisonment, of which she served about 3 years, half her sentence.
Damn.
Most of her sentence was served at HM Prison Holloway. As part of a criminal gang, she had helped in a series of post office robberies, in which staff and customers were sprayed with dangerous ammonia.
What the heck?
The judge commented in his sentencing remarks, "This is an amazingly horrifying case. It must be the worst case ever heard in front of a British court. These robberies were carefully planned and organized. They were skillfully, effectively, and ruthlessly carried out." Calvi's brother Anthony Welford had allowed his house to be used as a base by the gang, and was himself jailed for 9 years for conspiracy to rob the post offices. In late 1990, around 18 months after being paroled from her armed robbery sentence, Calvi paid criminal associate Daniel Reese £10,000 to kill Ronnie Cook.
What?
However, he lost his nerve at the last minute and Calvi picked up the gun herself, shooting the victim at point-blank range, whilst he knelt in front of her.
Oh,
He suffered horrific injuries to the head on the second shot, and the blast also broke his neck. A neighbor had heard Calvi shout, "Kneel," before a shot rang out. The story that Calvi had killed him was backed by Reese, as well as gangster Frankie Fraser, who said Calvi did it so Cook wouldn't find out she had been spending some of his money. At Calvi's trial, the prosecuting attorney said Cook's motive was to simplify the rather dangerous and complex state of her personal affairs, referring to her romance with both Reese and Thorogood. Cook was due for full release from prison at the time, and so would soon have discovered how Calvi, on whom he had lavished gifts and money, had cheated on him and become the lover of Reese and Thorogood. He also would have found that she had spent the cash he had entrusted to her. Reese testified to police, "I couldn't kill him. I shot to his side, I froze. Linda took the gun from me. She shot him in the head." The claim that he had shot him to his side first was supported by the fact that Cook was found to have a bullet wound to the arm. Calvi's footprints were also found next to the body, indicating she was present in the room at the shooting. On the day of the murder, Calvi had driven to HM Prison Maidstone to pick up Cook, who was on day release at the end of his sentence, and took him to her home, knowing a gunman would be there to murder him. He was shot only about half an hour after he had been collected by Calvi from the prison. At trial, Calvi denied murder, saying the man she had cheated on and who was supposedly abusive to her had meant everything to her, and she couldn't have killed him. However, the jury did not believe Calvi's story and found her guilty of murder. She showed no reaction when the jury announced their guilty verdict. Calvey denies murdering Cook despite being found guilty. First, she attempted to blame a stranger hitman, saying she ran from the house screaming as she saw this mystery assassin shoot Cook in the kitchen.
Bro.
She claimed that, after they got home, the door burst open and a man shouted, "Get down, police," before shooting him. The People newspaper described her story in 2000 as cynical and self-serving, and said that no one believed her story. She spent 18 and a half years in prison before being paroled.
Yo, this girl was crazy. Bertha Clifford?
Bertha Alice Williams, born October 30th, 1871, died August 20th, 1951, was a farm wife in rural Catawissa, Missouri during the early 1900s, was accused of murdering 3 members of the local community and suspected in 15 additional deaths. Clifford was renowned in her community for her cooking skills and caring for sick neighbors and relatives. Despite this, 5 people died in her care, prompting a grand jury investigation. In 1928, Gifford was arrested at Eureka, Missouri, and charged with 3 murders. Following the exhumation and post-mortem exams of Edward Brinley and Elmer and Lloyd Chamel, the bodies were found to contain large amounts of arsenic. Gifford was put on trial for their murders in Union, Missouri. Following the 3-day trial, she was found not guilty by reason of insanity and committed to the Missouri State Hospital No. 4, a psychiatric institution, where she remained until her death in 1951. Gifford acted the role of nurse for her sick neighbors, and a total of 17 people died in her care. It wasn't until after the grand jury investigation of the 5 deaths that suspicions were raised about an additional 12 deaths. Given the high mortality rates and the amateur use of arsenic for medical reasons at the time, no one can be certain that she purposefully killed everyone that had been in her care.
What the heck?
Belle Gunness, born Brynhild Paulsdatter Sturseth, November 11, 1859, possibly April 28, 1908, nicknamed Hell's Belle, was a Norwegian-American serial killer who was active in Illinois and Indiana between 1884 and 1908. Gunness seemingly died in a fire in 1908, but it is popularly believed that she faked her death. Her actual fate is unconfirmed. At age 14, Gunness began working for neighboring farms by milking and herding cattle to save enough money for the journey to New York City.
Herding cattle?
She moved to the United States in 1881. When she was processed by immigration at Castle Garden, she changed her first name to Belle, then traveled to Chicago to join her sister Nellie, who had immigrated several years earlier. In Chicago, while living with her sister and brother-in-law, Gunness worked as a domestic servant, then got a job at a butcher's shop cutting up animal carcasses. She was at least 5'7" tall and weighed around 95 to 113 kilos, and was physically strong in appearance. Gunness is thought to have killed at least 14 people, most of whom were men she enticed to visit her rural Indiana property through personal advertisements, while some sources speculate her involvement in as many as 40 murders, making her one of the most prolific female serial killers in history.
Jesus, man.
Gunness married Mads Ditlev Anton Sørensen in 1884. The couple owned a candy store, which later burned to the ground. Their home had also burned down, and both instances granted the couple insurance payouts. 2 babies in Gunness' home died from inflammation of the large intestine, which can result from poisoning. Gunness had insured both of the children and collected a large insurance check after each death. Neighbors gossiped about the babies, since Gunness never appeared to be pregnant. Sørensen had purchased 2 life insurance policies. On July 30, 1900, both policies were active at the same time, as one would expire that day and the other would enter into force. Sørensen died of cerebral hemorrhage that day.
Damn.
Gunness explained he had come home with a headache, and she provided him with quinine powder for the pain. She later checked on him, and he was dead. Gunness collected money from both the expiring life insurance policy and the one that went into effect that day, making a total of $5,000.
Wow.
With the insurance money, she moved to LaPorte, Indiana, and bought a pig farm. Belle married Peter Gunness on April 1st, 1902. The following week, while Peter was out of the house, his infant daughter died of unknown causes in Belle's care.
Oh, I think she has
Peter
something
died
to
8
do
months
with it.
later due to a skull injury. Belle explained that Peter reached for something on a high shelf and a meat grinder fell on him, smashing his skull.
Oh.
The district coroner convened a coroner's jury, suspecting murder, but nothing came of the case. Belle collected $3,000 insurance money for Peter's death. Gunnis.
Hold up, I'm sorry to just pause right here, but what the heck? Bro, they're not noticing these things that every time she has like a kid, that every time they die, she keeps gaining more money from them? Like, that's not drawing any suspicions?
Began placing marriage ads in Chicago newspapers in 1905. One of her ads was answered by a Wisconsin farmhand, Henry Gerholt. Gerholt wrote to his family, saying that he liked the farm, was in good health, and requesting that they send him seed potatoes.
Seed potatoes?
When they failed to hear from him after that, the family contacted Gunnis. She told them Gerholt had gone off with horse traders to Chicago. She kept his trunk and fur overcoat. John Moe of Minnesota answered Gunnis's ad in 1906. After they had corresponded for several months, Moe traveled to LaPorte and withdrew a large amount of cash. Although no one ever saw Moe again, a carpenter who did occasional work for Gunnis observed that Moe's trunk remained in her house, along with more than a dozen others. Her criminal activities came to light in April 1908 when the Gunnis farmhouse in LaPorte, Indiana, burned to the ground. In the ruins, authorities found the bodies of a headless adult woman, initially identified as Belle Gunnis, and her 3 children.
What the heck?
Further investigation unearthed the partial remains of at least 11 additional people on the Gunnis property. After the fire at the Gunnis homestead led to the discovery of bodies believed to be Gunnis and her children, LaPorte police authorities were contacted by Azel Helgelian, who had found correspondence between his brother, Andrew Helgelian, and Gunnis. The letters included petitions for him to relocate to LaPorte, to bring money, and to keep the move a secret. A visit by Asla Helgelian to the Gunnis farm with a former hired hand led to attention being paid to soft depressions in what had been made into a pen for hogs. After briefly digging one of the depressions in the lot, a gunny sack was found that contained 2 hands, 2 feet, and 1 head, which Helgelian recognized to be those of his brother.
What the heck?
Immediate inspection of the site revealed that there were dozens of such slumped depressions in the Gunnis yard, and further digging and investigation at the site yielded multiple sacks containing torsos and hands, arms hacked from the shoulders down, masses of human bone wrapped in loose flesh that dripped like jelly, from trash-covered depressions that proved to be graves. In each case, the body had been butchered in the same manner, the body decapitated, the arms removed at the shoulders, and the legs severed at the knees. Trauma and gashes characterized the skulls that were found that had been separated from the bodies. After finding the parts of 5 bodies on the first day, and an additional 6 on the second, some in shallow graves under the original hog pen, others near an outhouse or a lake, the police stopped counting. With these discoveries, the perceptions of Belle Gunnis, as reported in newspaper descriptions of a praiseworthy woman, dying in the fire that consumed her house in a desperate attempt to save her children, were reassessed. Despite the initial success with the identification of Andrew Helgelian, and despite the fact that widening news coverage of the mass murders invited inquiries from families with men that had gone missing, most of the remains could not be identified.
Subscribe for part 2. Bro, what the heck? I feel like Belle Gunnis was more messed up than these other 2 girls in the story. Jesus, man, that's pretty messed up. But yeah, I did enjoy this story because I did not know there was these kinds of women that were messed up in the head, because that was crazy. Well, that's gonna be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment if you guys feel like it. Don't forget to turn on post notifications on. Don't forget to follow me on Snapchat and TikTok. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Early gives the Avengers